Boom. And we are live with another episode of the Brown Water Banter podcast. My name is Jared Seymour.
My name is Joey Cates.
It is Joey Cates. And in the studio today, we have Justin Wetzel running for Harrison County Circuit Clerk. We are going to get into his backstory and hopefully a good explanation of what Circuit Clerk is.
We have no idea.
Before we went live. But before we jump into that, like we always do here on the show, we're going to thank the people that keep the lights on for us over here at the Brown Water Studio. Right out of the gate, if you've watched the show before, you might be familiar with this name. Dr. Robbie Williams over at Southern Magnolia Smiles, man. You can look him up on Facebook and Instagram at Southern Magnolia Smiles. They are located in Ocean Springs right here on Washington Avenue. 2023 is the year to keep your mouth clean. So when you're ready to book that appointment and go get those pearly whites polished, give Dr. Robbie and his team a call at 228-215-1202. If you find yourself in need for legal representation for any reason, you want somebody that's going to fight for you and be on your side. Taylor & Cox Law Firm has been practicing law in Pascagoula for over 30 years, representing the people of the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Jackson County, George County, and Greene County, to be more specific. They specialize in felonies, misdemeanors, DUIs, family law, divorce, child custody, those types of things. So if you find yourself, again, in need of legal representation, give Taylor & Cox Law Firm a call at 228-696-0111. Tell them that you heard about them on the Brown Water Banter podcast, and we also want to thank Tyler for taking and sponsoring the app, the Brown Water Banter app, all the way through the end of the year. So if you haven't downloaded that app yet, go do that as well. Our buddy Rocky Brooks, he was on the last episode, him and Josh Harmon. They've got a meet and greet coming up this Saturday over at Sea to Swamp. You can look that up on Facebook, Sea, the number 2, and then Swamp. Rocky runs that store. He's got all your outdoor needs covered: apparel, tackle, rods, reels, reel repair. He's slinging kayaks out of the Gulfport store as well. Anything you need, man, give him a shout at 228-205-3964.
I just got 4 rod and reel combos from him.
There you go. There you go. And we appreciate his support for the show. With the show. And so next up is our buddy Kendrick over at Forever Young Men and Women's Health. Again, you can look them up on Facebook as well. If you find yourself can't get off the couch, you want to get back in the gym, but you can't. You want to start just moving around even more, and you can't do it. Maybe you're a big turd, right? Give them a call at 228-363-6623 and let them do some lab work on you. Put your care in the hands of a professional. Maybe you need hormone replacement. Maybe you're vitamin deficient. Let Kendrick take a look at Forever Young Men and Women's Health and get you back on the path that you need to be. We also want to thank Randy Bosarge, our District 5 supervisor over here in Jackson County, for sticking with us after the election cycle and sponsoring the show throughout the end of the year. We were just chatting before we went live. There's a lot going on over in Jackson County right now. Randy's got a pretty good grip on it from the last episode that we talked to him about, and I'm sure we'll have him back on here at some point in the near future so we can talk about the development since the last time we spoke.
All this road work.
That's right. We appreciate that, Randy, as well. Beat you again, Joey. I will flash
just
while
over
you're
here. Just
while you're doing that.
I was playing Clash of Clans again.
I'm going to throw a little bone again to Harmon and Rocky, because sponsor, and Josh is cool and does a lot of stuff with us and for us as well. This Saturday, November the 4th, 2023, if you are in Gulfport from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. over at Rocky's Sea to Swamp location in Gulfport, which is 215B Pass Road, Gulfport, Mississippi. They're going to be doing a meet and greet with some of the local content creators like Andrew Googans, was Nathan Rich from Southern Salt, and then, of course, the legend Josh Harmon from Fish in the South. Hang out, eat, go buy some stuff from Rocky, talk about the outdoors.
Do us a favor. Don't buy any Fish in the South gear. Buy all the brown water. Don't do and walk up to Josh and ask him how much this is,
and take a picture of it. Please send it to us. So no, that actually would be super killer. So, but anyway, all right, Justin, man, thank you so much for being here this evening.
Absolutely.
We appreciate your time stopping in here and chatting with us. Like we always kind of do, man. We like to start with the backstory. We mentioned you're going to be running for Circuit Clerk, Harrison County. But what's your backstory? Where were you born? You born here on the Gulf Coast?
Born and raised here on the Gulf Coast, 1989, man.
Okay, so you're a little bit younger than us. That's okay.
Yeah,
we won't hold that against you.
Nah, that's all right. In this office, you got to have a lot of energy.
Right.
Young blood is what we need in there.
Okay, St. Martin?
Yeah, St. Martin.
Stingham, baby.
Another jacket.
That's right.
Up till I was, I think, 9 years old before I moved out to Woolmarket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you finished up at D'Iberville?
No, I still continued to go to St. Martin. My stepdad drove the handicap bus for St. Martin.
I got you. So you got to come over there.
Riding the short bus to school every day.
I drive it all the time. I drive one.
Look, it gave me an appreciation for the mentally challenged kids.
Yeah.
And
yes,
at
absolutely.
School, when they would get picked on or talked about it, I was right there like, look, hey, come on.
Yeah.
I ride with these kids. Like, I know
like,
them. You know what I mean? It's not funny.
It's not these kids' fault.
Yeah,
like,
and times were it was never right, but like I think the awareness is more today, like to not pick on those kids.
Yeah,
like that's one
absolutely.
good thing that's happened as we've gone through society. But for you to be sticking up for them back then, super cool. So graduated from St. Martin.
Yep.
Where'd you go to college?
Went on to left the rest of the crowd from St. Martin that went to Southern Miss, and I went over to South Alabama.
Okay.
Me and two buddies, or one of my buddies, we roomed together over there and finished in 4 years. That was the goal.
Okay, yeah, and I went there for a semester.
Better than most.
I had a feeling if I went to Southern, I might have been a 5 or 6 year student. And
a lot of partying.
I did 6 at JC, so you got me beat.
Yeah, no. Went over there, got the 4 years done, and came back home. I had got my bachelor's degree in accounting.
Oh God, yeah. Good for you. Glad you liked it.
Yeah. So you've always been a numbers guy, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Numbers have. I don't know why. It's just been my thing.
One of the few classes that I just never, ever liked.
I had to actually. I liked it so much that some of the teachers, I was a student athlete tutor. So the South Alabama actually paid me to tutor some of the basketball players.
Okay.
Mainly basketball players. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess that's different strokes for different folks.
Oh,
I went to business, economics, and stuff like that. And I wanted to pull my hair out. Like it was just like watching the grass grow. You know what I'm saying? And you excelled in it, I guess. Yeah.
Then I came back home, worked at an accounting firm downtown Gulfport for 2 years. Love tax. I love tax. Don't necessarily like the auditing aspect. So I thought I better go back to school and enrolled at William Carey.
Okay.
And got my master's degree from there, just in business administration, to kind of open my avenues back up.
Right.
Not stuck just in accounting.
Right.
And that was a 1 year program. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a good thing about that was started. Now it was rough because I was working full time, 40 hours a week, and then going to school every single night of the week up there at the Tradition campus in Woolmarket.
So you grinded.
Oh man, it was a long year, but it was worth it.
When I was there, we were still in the trailers on Highway 90 in Gulfport.
Oh goodness
gracious. Yeah, that was 2007, 2006, 7, 8 in there. Yeah.
So cut your teeth doing taxes, other people's taxes.
Yep.
Yeah. How was that?
I love tax, man. It's I still actually help some friends.
It's a phrase you don't hear
family
a lot.
out.
Yeah,
I love tax.
Hey, look, it's one of those things where you like to try to find those loopholes.
There you go.
And help folks
and
out.
those are legal.
Yeah,
those are legal.
Exactly. You have to, if somebody like you that doesn't have any education in tax or individual tax,
I'm willing to pay
they'll
you.
go on TurboTax and just click through the buttons and not know anything about it and miss out on credits, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, hey, hold on a second. Let me go back and review that for you and make sure you've got everything.
Right.
Yeah.
TurboTax won't just say, hey, here's this. So I still do a lot of my families and a couple friends tax returns and help them out when I can.
Yeah. Well, tax season's upon us, right? It's close.
Right. Yeah, January.
So you recommend don't TurboTax? I mean, what is it? Because I know when you were younger and you don't really have that much.
Right. Yeah.
Depends on what you got going on financially. Yeah.
Your return starts becoming more complex. Definitely reach out to a certified public accountant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's your best route. They know definitely all the loopholes and all of, and some accountants are a little more risky than others.
Yeah.
Right.
So find you a good one and take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially if you got a business.
Yeah. I help. Oh yeah. If you got a business, you might as well get yourself an accountant.
Right.
Because TurboTax is not the route to go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I still try to help folks out when I can. Not everybody can afford a CPA. So yeah, help out where I can.
That's awesome, dude. So after your master's at Carey, then where do we go? What do we do?
I was still working at it was Cullenber Harvey and Fletcher and Associates in Gulfport, and our circuit clerk then, Gail Parker, she was a client of ours, and I was assigned to her as a client, and I did all the bookkeeping, everything for her and the accounting firm for I guess close to 2 years, and then one day I don't know. I guess I just had enough of the auditing and some other things, and I brought all her stuff back to her, and I said, "Look, I'll do this in the office. Just hire me on board. I'm sure there's plenty more that can be done."
Mm-hmm.
And she took me up on the offer, and so I left the accounting firm and started working for her, and did everything that I did in the accounting firm there, plus way more now. So,
what was your title then?
At the accounting firm?
Yeah, no. When you got hired on,
I was just a deputy clerk.
Just a deputy clerk.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's what everybody hires in as a deputy clerk.
And then is it a ranking system?
Yeah,
you work your way up.
And I mean, in different offices, you could have like deputy clerk 1, deputy clerk 2. In our office, we have our chief deputy, which is the clerk directly under the circuit clerk.
Okay.
And then the chief deputy of finance is my position, solely because that's everything that I handle in the office. But, in our circuit clerk's office, it's technically 3 different offices. When they need help up front or in any of our 2 court departments, I go over there and help them.
I got you.
Okay. And that's where you are now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been there ever since. I love it. I was a little nervous at first. You walk into the legal atmosphere and I'm like, wait, I'm used to accounting and number crunching and all this. And then you start getting involved in elections and courts and different things. And I was just like, oh, but after you get in there for a little while and you learn things, I've enjoyed it. And that's why where I am today.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Unpack that just a little bit more.
Explain what explain what the circuit court actually does.
But like where you were at first, you're saying it's strictly pretty much a numbers game.
Yeah.
Right?
So primarily when as chief deputy of finance, I probably manage upwards of between 80 and 90 different bank accounts.
Okay.
We have a special court of eminent domain, which is all land cases across, if the MDOT's trying to acquire your land, they deposit money into the registry of the court. That's a separate bank account that I have to manage, keep up with until that case is disposed of.
Wow.
But then
so this is all Harrison County.
Correct.
Yeah,
all Harrison County.
He represents, correct me if I'm wrong, you represent the county, Harrison County as its financial person, right? Like y'all's office.
The circuit clerk's office and the county and circuit courts. Yes. Our comptroller would represent all of the county in a whole.
Okay.
But as far as in our office, because the circuit clerk technically is separate from Harrison County.
Okay.
We do our own separate payroll. The circuit clerk is a fee paid official. So our office runs solely on the fees we bring in from filing fees, marriage licenses, those types of things. There's some statutorily assessed fees that we collect from the county that we bill the county essentially.
Okay.
But it's a lot, and that's what I'm here to unpack some more on that.
Keep rolling because we're learning. Because
I had if you would come in here and said, "Hey, do you know what the circuit clerk does?" I'd have been like, "Absolutely not."
Look, in the last 9.5 months, that's what everybody's like. What in the world is a circuit clerk?
Yeah.
Well, how much time do you have?
Correct.
Because we can sit here all night. So.
Right.
Well, let's rip it.
So primarily, from a finance perspective, criminal hearing accounts, what we call, is where we deposit all of our felony fines and fees and court costs. If you're arrested for a felony and sentenced and all that, and you're ordered to pay court costs, fines, and all that, when those payments come in the office, they go into a particular account. That account has to be reconciled on a daily and monthly basis. Fees cut to the county that are supposed to go there, to the state, some to the clerk. There's a civil clearing account for civil cases, a jury account for jurors that are paid for jury service.
Right.
There's what we call a front desk account for anything that comes in our circuit clerk's office through marriage licenses and those type of things.
Probably most familiar people would be was with filing for marriage.
Yeah. I mean, that's, if somebody knows what the circuit clerk does, they're going to say, "Oh, that's where I go get my marriage license."
Right.
Yeah.
Or that's where I go absentee vote at.
Okay.
Because we handle that too. So outside of the many things that I do, because I handle our payroll, basically all of our HR, onboarding, hiring, those type of things, insurance. But in our circuit clerk's office, like I said, that's where we do our voter registration. Absentee voting takes place, which we're actually doing that right now. So our last day to absentee vote is Saturday from 8 to 12. Our office will be open till 12 p.m. for the November 7th election. So if anybody is not going to be in town Tuesday, I would recommend.
What's the parameters on that? What how do you count as an absentee vote?
What's the rules in Mississippi, we have an application, and it's got about, I don't know the exact number, but if I had to guess, it's every bit of 15 different qualifications, probably upwards of 20. But if you're over 65 or disabled or going to be out of the county or have to be at work during the times that the polls are open, if you're military, there's a multiple different listings. If you fall on any of those, you can go to the office. All you got to do is show your driver's license that you're a registered voter, fill out the application, and the girls in the front office will pull your ballot for you, fill out your ballot, fold it up, put it in the envelope, and you're done.
Paper ballot?
Paper ballot.
Okay.
Yep.
Has it always been that way? Because the general, or not the general elections, but the primaries this year were paper again.
Yeah. They got away from electronic.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how it is in Jackson County.
That's what it is in Jackson. Yeah.
We've always been paper in Harrison County. Now at our polling precincts, we are required to have an electronic TSX machine that you can get your little piece of paper. It's your ballot essentially.
Right.
Stick it in the machine and vote on the machine.
Yeah.
And it'll print a barcode, and then you go put that essentially into the machine. And
No,
it'll count
we got a
votes.
debit card. It's literally what it looked like.
What?
You stuck that into the machine.
Well, it used to be like you were talking about. You go and you put your card in and you pick who you want. This year, they literally gave you a sheet of paper.
Yeah.
Well,
Stuck
I
it up
think
there.
what you were talking about though is more like a Scantron. You stick into the machine, right?
Yeah. Well, it's blank when you stick it in.
Correct.
There. And then it'll print a barcode when it prints out, and then you put that into our ballot scanner.
Right.
Yeah, and it
DS200.
scans who voted,
And
what you voted
it
for.
But
scans
that's
from
not
there.
how it is where we voted.
No,
Where we
no.
voted, it literally looked like a debit card
That's great.
that they would
I
give
haven't
you.
seen that
With a
yet in
chip,
Harrison County.
And you stick it into the electronic machine, then it activates and you run through some instructions and it's all
Right.
touchscreen. You hit the bubble of every candidate
Right.
that you want.
Right.
And then when you're done, you hit file or submit, whatever the word is.
Yeah.
And then it makes a clicking noise. You pull the card out and you turn that card back in, but it's filed inside the machine.
That's what it used to be.
Correct. And then
But
this
this
last
time,
primary,
they changed it all
we're
up.
talking about pen and paper.
We got
Yeah. We went back to like Abraham Lincoln.
yeah,
days.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
with a
and-
quill. We almost had a quill.
We had to eat.
Yeah.
As old school as that is, to me, that is the most
Correct.
way to do it. 'Cause
Correct.
You've got this ballot.
You can look back over it.
bubble it in.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got everything that you want to vote in. You put it in that machine, and you hear it drop in there. You know it's counted.
Correct.
A lot of people are I guess, skeptical of the push button machines because, you know, when you press that button, they're it can change, you know, to another candidate or whatever.
Well,
Now, most of those are in the diagnostics process. They calibrate them properly, and all that is public testing when they do that.
Right.
Well, I think that went back to the Florida election when what was it, the Bush,
the hanging chads, but that was actually punching holes into physical pieces of paper. Whether that was for like to select the person or to do like some kind of braille looking barcode, I don't know. But there was things hanging, and they said that's why it wasn't being counted. But yeah, ours, the calibration wise, you could, once you selected, you could see what it was, and then when you finally hit submit, it showed you every single thing.
Recap of everything.
Correct. But what I worry about, because you know, we've all lost. Seems like society has lost faith in lots of institutions, rightfully so.
Elections being one of them.
Yeah,
our
it's like
turnout is terrible.
Nobody votes.
But what's happening digitally behind that? Because then you can't tell if there was some tomfoolery. You can't physically see it. We can't physically go back and check. If the computer says that's what it was, that's what it was. You know.
Yeah. And where does that information go to?
Like a zip drive.
Yeah.
Right. But if it gets flipped before it hits the zip, write that down.
It's weird.
Flip for the zip.
It's weird.
If it flips for the zip,
it's weird.
you know, you can't figure it out.
It's weird.
But anyway, so we bring all that up though because election integrity has been such a hot topic over the past, few years, and that's part of what y'all do and what y'all manage, right? Even the absentee side.
That's right. In coordination with our election commissioners in Harrison County, we have 5 different districts, and the clerk essentially is a 6th election commissioner working with the other 5, to ensure that the integrity of our elections is spot on and, and transparency and everything. Because God forbid, we don't want to be anything like the states up north.
No,
you don't want Mickey Mouse voting 26 times.
Yeah, that and ballot harvesting and all that crazy. Some people, that's actually seemed to have picked up some steam here in Mississippi, and I hope we don't go that way. Ballot harvesting, it's there's too much room for some fraud there.
Right.
And you see it up north. They're finding bins of ballots because, if you're going to mass mail out ballots to every single mailbox, and we do. When we send out jury summons, because the clerk sends out the jury summons as well, we get back a large number of those from bad addresses. So just imagine if you sent out ballots to just everybody.
Oh, yeah.
How many of those
will return? Not
necessarily return, but you just go pull that out of a mailbox, fill that out. And then the second part about it is you and I can just go to any neighborhood and say, hey, we're here. If you can't get down there to turn your ballot in, I'll take it for you.
Right.
And then change
and there's no way to verify
it's
right?
already sealed, but then, they go in that's where you find a tub of ballots sitting in a ditch.
So you could know from demographics or whatever, pretty much what
historic voting.
If you were to go pull a voter roll or from a prior election or a primary election, and you can see like I have them when I'm out knocking doors, I can see all my Republican voters.
Right. Which is public record.
Primary. Right.
Yeah. It's all public.
So if this street is all Republican voters,
right,
or Democratic, either way, vice versa, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could target that area and say, "I'll go collect all these," and so I just, I hope we don't ever get to that point, but you just never know, and if we do, we address it from there.
There needs to be a little bit of. because people will say, well, digital's so much easier, so much quicker, and we always are waiting, at the end of the night, everybody's watching the news. Sometimes you don't get it till the next morning, but it shouldn't be super easy. Like, you should have to physically count some things. It should be a little more cumbersome,
especially
because
with
of
absentee ballots.
Right.
Oh Lord, I'm gonna draw a blank. Our
Yep.
Yeah.
That person.
Resolution board.
There you go.
They come in the next morning, the morning of the election, and they start processing all of the absentee ballots. And if, like right now, I think when I pulled our list yesterday or requested our list, we have over 2,000 absentee ballots cast in Harrison County. So they're not going to go through them all in one day. So, at the end of the night, you have numbers for, what's election day votes. And if you're within a certain number of, a certain race could change based on those absentee ballots that are left to be processed. And it could be 2 days before those are processed.
Okay. That was my question. Do they put those in first, or they wait till after the general election to put those in?
Yep.
Because you don't want to sway the vote, right? If that was public knowledge, somebody say, oh, he's already way out in front, I don't want to go vote for the other guy.
Well, I mean, it's a vote. You know what I'm saying? It could be like that anyway.
That's the psychology of it.
Yeah. If election day you wake up and they give you these preliminary results of the absentee, and somebody's ahead 1,500 votes to 500.
You're like, one vote ain't going to help. I'll stay home.
Right.
500 people do that.
I already hear that enough.
Well, Dak, I mean,
my vote don't count.
Yeah, 2,000 votes is probably more votes than anybody else has had in a long time.
I think you're maybe making numbers up, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, we legit have a little over. After today, we probably have over close to 2,100 absentee ballots cast.
That's a whole lot more than the last.
Yeah. Oh,
the last run.
The primary, I think we had 1,200 or 1,100.
That's so double, pretty much double. Yeah.
There you go.
So they do all that, and a lot of people don't like the fact that the number at the end of the night is not final,
right?
And they don't understand that the resolution board has to go through and make sure these people qualified to vote absentee. They've filled out their application properly. The signatures match. Then they're
actually alive. They're actually a real person.
So, I mean, there's a whole lot more checks and balances behind our elections than people honestly realize. A lot of people, maybe just don't believe that there's much integrity in our elections.
Yeah.
But there truly is. There's a lot of checks and balances behind the scenes. And there's a lot of work prior to our elections behind the scenes that people don't realize.
Now, is the primaries for the circuit clerk, was there one? Is it the same process as all the other, like the sheriff that we've talked to? Did you go through the primary?
I was unopposed in the primary. I was the only Republican.
Okay. Yeah. What about on the other side? Is there anybody running on that side? Obviously, because you're.
No, well, my opponent ran as an independent.
Okay. All right. There we go.
He took the ticket straight to November.
Correct.
Right.
So a lot of the other.
Was that a political move, you think?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to put that label down here that they'll run independent, or even sometimes run as a Republican, even if they're not. I think I've seen.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
They'll run as Republican or Democrat, whatever, even though they may not necessarily feel that their values line up with that party.
Correct.
I think we saw some of that in the last.
Yeah. If it's a strategic move to try to win a race, then hey, that's the move to make. I guess on how they feel they need to do.
Then you can't uphold, your promises to your voters, though. I wouldn't think if you're doing that. So
So other things in the clerk's office besides, because I mean, elections honestly is a large part of what we do in the clerk's office as far as voter registration, and of course every day you have people coming in changing their voter registration, or the election commissioners have to purge the voter rolls if somebody hasn't voted within 2 federal elections, or making them inactive. If we mail a jury summons out to you and it comes back, the election commissioners will send a confirmation card out. And if that comes back, then they'll mark that voter as an inactive voter in the voter roll, because it seems like obviously they don't live there.
Right.
And that person doesn't need to be voting at that address if they don't live there.
Right.
So in the clerk's office,
I bet you'll get tons of those.
Oh man, it's USPS postal containers full of them.
I mean, do y'all know when people pass away, is that how y'all figure out, hey, these guys don't live here anymore?
Yeah, between people, coming in and letting us know that their family member passed away, and then of course getting notices back, those types of things. That's how we get that information. But in the circuit clerk's office, like I said, you do your marriage licenses there. We manage the judgment roll in our clerk's office, and if you're not familiar with that, if you're sued or something. and it's a $10,000 judgment. That judgment is enrolled on the judgment roll, and if you were to try to go sell a piece of property or something, if a closing attorney were to run your credit or something, they're going to see that on there, and they have to settle that judgment before.
It's like a lien.
Like a lien.
Exactly, a lien out of any
Yeah.
proceeds from your property or sale or whatever it may be. So there's a lot. Of course, marriage licenses, recording the marriage licenses.
So y'all are kind of like the most like guy and the most hate guy there is.
Oh, yeah,
Because
right.
people love to vote. Well, some of them do, but people hate going to jury duty.
Oh, yeah.
They absolutely hate it.
Yeah, and that's the bad. I wish more people would, because we send out 400 to 450 jury summons whenever we get an order from a judge to send out jury summons. We're lucky to get 60 people to show up.
Really?
So I mean, you're talking.
I thought you could. I didn't think that was an option.
Oh, well, it shouldn't be an
Right.
option,
Yeah.
but it is.
Well, I think that's a lot of where a lot of people sway the vote, like to register to vote. A lot of people say, well, I
have
don't want to
heard-
vote because I don't want to go to jury duty.
Exactly. I've heard that so many times. I'm not registered to vote. I don't want to serve on a jury.
Yeah, well,
But you can. I mean, if you're a business owner, our judges are pretty lenient. If you're the sole business owner and you run your business, and if you're going to be in jury duty and that's going to cause you to lose a significant amount of money, or your doors are closed or whatever, a judge will generally dismiss you.
Right.
Of course, you still have to go, but you get dismissed pretty quickly. Or you can write in an excuse,
right.
email an excuse. And our judges are really good about getting back, usually within 24, 48 hours. And most of the time in situations like that, you're probably going to get excused. But I mean, if you just have, or again, if you have travel plans or anything like that, if you submit an excuse with documents of a travel vacation or something, and you have flight tickets that you attach with that excuse, you're getting excused.
See, right there. That's valuable information.
Can you do that online? Or you got to mail that in, or how does that
On
work?
the back of our jury summons in Harrison County, it has an email address you can send that to.
Yeah.
Your excuse to, or mail it in. Either
And
way.
what courts do y'all usually send them to? The one on 49, the South 49?
The big Harrison County Court. It's on 1801 23rd Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just across the street from the Justice Court, north of the railroad tracks. If you know where the police department is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That going back to like not wanting to vote, like I get it. Like it's not, I mean, not serve on a jury. It's not fun, but like I think people need to realize it's part of your civic duty. You know what I mean? Like it's an actual privilege to be able to do these types of things.
Yeah.
You know,
Voting and jury service.
Yeah, that you don't just get thrown in jail, right? Like because the king said that you did something wrong.
Off with his head.
Right. Like we have a process here and we should all want to be a part of that, even though it is a pain in the ass. And I'm not saying it's not.
And I think, honestly, when we have people come in, people actually enjoy it once they get in there. Oh, I don't want to be here.
Right.
But after they go
get to
through
see it.
serving on a 2 or 3 day jury, it's actually interesting. In our grand jury, that's a 6-month commitment.
Yeah, I've been summoned to grand
Yeah,
jury twice.
that's intense there. Okay.
Yeah,
6 months?
That's a 6-month
Yes,
commitment.
I've been summoned twice.
How do you not lose your job? How do people not lose their job?
They only come in on Thursdays.
Okay.
Every week. Well, not necessarily every week. But when they do come in, it's on a Thursday. And it's the same thing. If you can't be there, that's why they draw 20 grand jurors. They have to have at least, I think it's 14 to be able to go forward on any present any evidence in any cases.
Okay.
But I mean, if you can't be there, you just can't be there. You just let the foreman of the grand jury know, and it's part of it. I mean, you can't be expected to make every single week for 6 months when you have a job or you have kids or anything like that. So we actually just drew the new grand jury about a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago. And one of the girls that I know, I drew her name. And she's like, "Oh, why'd you draw my name? I wish you would have, been able to do something." I was like, "Well, I mean, it's a fair draw,
right?"
And
you were the lucky one.
I said, "But you'll be surprised. I think if you hang on and you're gonna enjoy it. At the end of the 6 months, I'll ask you again, and we'll see what you think." Because I mean, as a grand jury, you get to see all of the evidence in these cases,
right,
that are presented to you by the police officers or the DA's officer, whoever. And I mean, that to me, that's just interesting. I would want to do that. So there's a lot more to jury service that if more people came out, I think they would find that it's actually enjoyable. You get paid too. Granted, it's not a large amount of money.
Yeah.
Right.
$35 a day plus your mileage to and from your house.
I'd move away for him.
I live in Alabama. I just vote Mississippi.
I drive a semi truck. By the way, I don't know if y'all know that. I get 0.1 mile to the gallon.
Yeah. So, what's the campaign trail been like, man? What's it look like?
Campaign trail is, man, since I qualified on January. I don't even know what day I qualified on. It was the beginning of January. It's just been a grind.
Yeah. So we'll unpack that real quick. What did you have to do to actually qualify as a circuit clerk?
To qualify as basically in any race, besides like your judge races, it's just a matter of be willing to pay the $100 qualification fee, fill out the piece of paper, and put your name on the paperwork. But to me, there was a whole lot more behind it because, I've been in the office for 10 years in the elections. I know politics is a dirty world.
Yes.
We all know that.
Right.
And I have a 2.5-year-old daughter and a wife of 8 years now. And I just, you sit back and you think, do you really want to put your family through this?
Correct.
Right.
Because somebody's going to go after them.
Somebody is going to say something as false as it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Something's going to get said, and you've got to have the demeanor to be able to hold that back and not rebut that or go out there and do something stupid.
Right.
Because that's just
and it's crazy because even on the circuit clerk, I mean, I'm not saying it's low, but
let's just say it's low. It's, like I said,
even
it's
there,
not a sexy office.
Even there, even there, it's cutthroat. You know what I'm saying? I guess any political where you got to be elected is cutthroat.
Yeah. So it was it took a while for me to talk to my wife about it several times, and finally she said, look, if this is what you want to do, I'm 100% behind you, and we just put everything behind it, and if something comes up, we deal with it then. So
has it been pretty clean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, my opponent he's a nice guy. He's a great guy. Nobody has anything bad to say about him.
Right.
It's just a difference of me being in the office for 10 years. And having all the experience, and he has no experience.
See, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough for him.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happened to the old circuit clerk? Did they reach their term? Did they retire? How does that work?
So our current circuit clerk, her name's Connie Ladner. She was she's finishing her second term as clerk. So she'll be 8 years as the circuit clerk, but she was in the office for 32 years prior to that. She came in that office out of high school at 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
And has been there for...
So she cut her teeth.
Oh, yeah. She knew what she was doing.
December, she's got 40 years.
She's gone. She's going to retire.
It's time for her to... And she's only, 57 years old.
Wow.
Right.
I mean, why not?
In.
Yeah,
wow.
Exactly. So she's out, and time for her to enjoy all the hard work.
Fruits of her labor. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And I don't blame her. Who wouldn't? I mean,
I'd be walking right out the door with her.
If I can get in there and serve that long, I would be able to retire at 54 years old. So
I'd be walking out the door with you too. So are there term links with that, or is it just how many times you want to run?
Yeah, exactly. So it's so Connie, like I said, she only did 8 years, served 8 years as circuit clerk, but the clerk before her, Gail Parker, which is who hired me, she was our circuit clerk for 24 years.
Oh, wow.
So she served 6
So it's
terms.
how many times you win.
That's right, as many times as you can get elected. You get in there and do a good job, generally. I mean, it's with any job. Your citizens aren't going to vote you out if you're doing the right thing and being involved in the community and making sure our elections are, the integrity and transparency of our elections is there. It's there's no reason to really
change it
to go anywhere.
Yeah.
For people that are listening, maybe hearing about you for the first time, how would you differentiate yourself other than experience, which I guess is huge, right? Yeah. From your opponent.
Well,
and you may not know what he's running on, but how do you position yourself? Let's start there.
So there's several. Of course, the big one is my experience.
Right, that's huge.
This is an office that is so complex. There's so many things going on. Like I said, it's not just one office. It's 3 different departments. It's your circuit clerk's office, your county court, and your circuit court. Mm-hmm. And there's, like I said,
you got to know how all 3 of those run.
Yeah, there's so much behind the scenes work into elections and everything else. Many different computer systems, programs, all that good stuff. So experience obviously is what I ran on from day one, but my youth as well. A lot of people have said, "Oh, don't you think you're a little young?" Well, first of all, my opponent, when he was elected at 22 years old, I don't think youth is an issue. At 34 years old, and quite frankly, in the circuit clerk's office with our elections, next year is a presidential election, and I've worked 2 of those. It is 75, 80-hour weeks. So you've got to have that energy.
Yeah, and not only like technology, you're working with a ton of technology.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if I think youth kind of serves you better.
I just think it's a sad state of affairs when we're telling somebody at 34 years old that they're too young for an office.
Right.
When I was in Alabama not too long ago looking at a World War II submarine, and the oldest guy on the boat, the sub, was 24, 25 during the middle of a war.
Probably died.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Gave his life up for this country, and we can't get a 34-year-old circuit clerk.
Yeah,
that's why I don't like hearing that, because I'm like, look, if you understood how much time and energy goes into that office, you better have somebody in that office that's willing to work those 80-hour weeks.
Right.
That can run a gun.
And not rely on your employees to do all the work. That's what I don't want to see happen is somebody come in and be like, all right, y'all know the ropes. If y'all need me, let me know. I'm a front of the line guy where I'm ready to help out.
Yeah,
So,
get in line, follow me.
Yeah. So that's definitely, to me, a difference maker there as well. Other than that, man, it's just the experience, my youth, my dedication to my job. I have a lot of leave time built up because I don't call out all the time and those types of things. So
That's huge nowadays, ain't it?
Yeah. Showing up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I got a lot of businesses that come to me, and he was like, all you got to do is get them to show up.
Well, that's what
I don't care what they look like when they get there. Just get them to show up, and we can train them.
Yeah,
that's
when
the
I watched your Sea to Swamp episode with Rocky, and they were talking about you're lucky to get somebody just to show up to work. It's like, exactly. And that's why you got to have employees that are willing to be there day in and day out.
Yeah.
And I've been one of those. So.
Especially elected officials.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you're going to be out campaigning, telling your electorate all these things you're going to do, you better do it.
That's right.
Otherwise, you'll be a one-term clerk and
Uh-huh.
you'll be replaced real quick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't make promises you can't keep.
That's
For
right.
sure. So I
That's
was told
right.
that from the very beginning. I said, I don't make many, but the ones I make, I'll certainly keep those promises.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's how long have you been at this now? Like
I
knocking
started-
doors and all,
Kissing babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, shaking hands,
kissing babies.
Yeah.
knocking
How
doors.
long you been at it?
Oh shoot, man, I've been going to different events and club meetings and all that since back in February. I think I started.
Yeah.
Knocking doors, I guess as much as maybe 5-6 weeks ago.
I see your signs.
It's hard to do that whenever. So it wasn't until recently I had to take a leave of absence from the office because I was still working 40 hours a week, trying to run my campaign, spend family time with my wife and my daughter, and run a campaign.
Not enough hours in a day.
Yeah, without a very big team. I didn't want to have, 50 people helping me out where, I lose control. Not necessarily control because I'm not a control freak, but, things can get out of hand.
Correct. Yeah. You can't.
I kept it smaller where, I knew the decisions being made. I have a consulting agency that I hired. So I've kept it small for those purposes. So yes, it's made it a little bit tougher. But I know that I can maintain everything.
Yeah. Your brand's on point.
Did you have a campaign manager?
Yeah. Fortunately, Gail Parker, the former circuit clerk, is my
Ah,
Smart move.
Look, if y'all don't know that woman,
Yeah.
she is Miss Gail, I want to say is 80, 81.
probably sharp as a tack.
Sharp as a tack. This woman has worked so hard, it's not even funny. I guarantee you she's probably out right now still knocking doors or putting cards out in businesses in Pass Christian. I was lucky to have her when I asked her if she'd be my campaign manager.
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard you say signs. Signs is
Well, I've seen them,
Offensive.
but it's
Not
what's crazy is like Harrison County is huge.
Yep.
huge.
People don't
I-
realize. I know for a fact, and this is no knock against you or anybody. There's no way possible one man can knock on every door in Harrison County. It's impossible. But Harrison County is gigantic. So
Harrison
to
County
get
is
it
the
out,
second largest county in Mississippi.
yeah, to get the signs out to where majority of the people drive by and see is huge.
Yeah. So I had to strategically select. I had paid for our GIS mapping department to print these big signs, and I had to just sit down and pick. All right, where's the most heavily traveled areas, and put my 4x8s there, and put my other smaller signs in other areas. I get made fun of by my wife primarily because I put little stars where my 4x8s were and other little colored stars because at the end of this
You got to get them back. You got to get them back.
Yeah, you got to pick it up. Otherwise, you're going to be looked at as
Right.
that candidate that's just now it becomes litter.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I still see signs out from the primary, which drives me nuts. So
Yeah, we got a Delbert Hosen sign by D'Iberville High School. I'm just going to take it and give it back to him next time I
well,
see him.
he's on the ballot. He's on the ballot right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's unopposed, but he's on the ballot. No, I take that back.
No, he's
not
running.
unopposed.
He's running.
Yeah,
He's
got
running.
a
Yeah.
Democrat opponent. But yeah. So even after the 7th, there's still work to do because I got to go pick all those darn signs up. The yard signs aren't as bad because most of the people you give those to will pick them up. But and yeah, I heard you say expensive.
Yeah.
That is-
Oh,
They are not
dude,
cheap.
They're not cheap at all.
campaigns. I thought I knew how expensive a campaign was, and I haven't spent near as much money as some other folks.
Yeah.
But when you're $10,000 in signs, and that's not that much.
That's crazy.
Commercials and billboards and radio and everything else, man, it adds up so quick. And raising money,
Yeah.
not fun.
No, that's the worst. I
That
bet
is the absolute worst part.
for
of
sure.
running camp. I don't ask my family for money. I don't ask my brother, my mom, anybody for money. So for me to have to ask strangers for money,
you got to.
It goes against kind of like how you know what I mean. Yeah.
So what fundraisers have you been rolling with?
So I had a kickoff party in March out at you know where the White Barn is in Saucier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice facility. It's a wedding facility primarily out there. Had my kickoff party out there, so that was a good jump start in the beginning. Had a golf tournament in June out at Grand Bear. That was very successful. And then I had I don't know if y'all know John Ray with Gulf Coast Business Furniture Supply. Yeah. He was gracious enough to host me a fish fry and whatever else about a month and a half ago. So they've all been perfectly spaced out, you know, to where raise some money, spend it, raise some money, spend it, raise some money, spend it. And then had some money coming here recently. So to be able to get the last minute radio advertising and all that stuff done. So
yeah,
it's been a grind, man. It's stressful, and I naturally just kind of stay stressed out with everything going on. A 2.5-year-old daughter, and
oh Lord,
that's just a child's a whole nother. And I'm like people probably would call me a helicopter father, but I'll take it. I don't care. My daughter is my world, and if something happens,
that's all
to
that
her,
matters. Yeah. Take it. It don't matter who
you call me anything you want. I'll take it. It's fine. And then of course work and campaign and everything else. So it's just been a lot of stress.
People that don't know, when's the election? I almost said the wrong date. I'm glad I looked at it. Yeah.
Next Tuesday, November the 7th.
I thought it was the 8th for some reason.
Polls open at 7 a.m., close at 7 a.m. And as long as you're in line at 7 p.m., I said 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. Open 7
That'd be a quick vote.
Open 7 a.m., close 7 p.m. And as long as you're in line at 7 p.m., they have to let you cast your ballot.
And it's going to be a pretty full card, unlike the primary.
Our ballot in Harrison County is front and back full.
Really?
Yep. For the most part. It's all the way down one side on the back, and I think partially down the other side. I would usually absentee vote because I'm
in the office
on election day. Excuse me. I start my day real early at like 5, and I go around to all the different precincts to make sure they get started.
So that's kind of like y'all Super Bowl. Like that's
yeah.
That's the biggest day of the week for y'all. Yeah. Oh my God.
Make sure all our poll books. I don't know what Jackson County uses, but in Harrison County we have we just went to new little tablets.
They had
super efficient paper books. Come on.
Like that was the main reason why everybody was clogged up. Here you go, Joey Cates. I live right there in Latimer. All right.
Do you vote over by St. Martin East? Where you vote?
No, I voted Latimer Community Center.
Okay. Yeah, I vote by.
I used to live up there when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, she's flipping and flipping and flipping and flipping. And of course, in Latimer, I hate it. Demographically, it's mostly Republican. So the Republican line's 50 people long, and a Democrat line, they're
in the primary.
They're drawing
crossword puzzles.
Yeah. And the poor lady, you know, they get these. Do y'all find those people that work the polls?
Volunteers, ain't it?
Well,
the volunteers?
The election commissioners, at least in Harrison County, election commissioners are the ones that get all the poll workers.
Yeah. And they are mostly older because those are the people who are off. Yeah, and she's like, okay, let me find you, baby. And, you know, she's nice as can be, but she's, I don't see you. I'm like, you're on the other page. Yeah. Oh, there you are. So it's 10 minutes there and then 10 minutes to vote. Yeah. So
we've talked about trying to get into, I wish like JD or even JC, it really doesn't matter. All the colleges across the coast, I wish they would somehow make an excused absence for college students to volunteer, give them some volunteer hour or whatever to work election day, just because the younger working the newer electronics and all that stuff, the lines would just go so much faster. Well, I've had to go out to precincts and help get the line down just because, you know, the younger people know how to work the computers better.
Yeah. And again, goes back to that civic duty. It kind of reminds people, the college age kids, like, hey, this is what we're doing. Right. This is why it's important. You're learning about this, that, and the other in history class or government class. It's like, let's go be a part of it. Yeah. That's a great idea.
And it's 90% of I would venture to say probably 60% of your voters are the elderly. They're older voters.
Yeah. Our new election software that we have, we are able to, at the end of the election, it will break it down by ages, what percentage between, say, 18 to 25. Mm-hmm. And actually in our primary in Harrison County, I think Connie had said our 18 to 30 or somewhere range, it was like 12, 13, 14, 15% of the vote. I mean, it was such a small amount. Mm-hmm. It's scary if you think about it.
It really is.
It's almost like, you know, the older people, they start to die off if the younger kids aren't voting.
Continues.
Man, it's just what happens to our elections in general?
Yeah, to what everything the United States is based on.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope at some point there's a pendulum swing
awakening.
or something. Yeah, an awakening. But as bad as it gets, like it's not the needle. I don't see the needle moving too much. Only on the presidential. That has become the Super Bowl of, I'm going to put all my beliefs out here on the line and go vote for these two options.
The Latimer Community Center, the last presidential race, I mean, it was wrapped around the building.
Yeah.
Right. Literally wrapped around the building.
So when I said we had 2,000 absentee votes earlier, you said you made it sound like it was a lot. And that's not a lot. In 2020, in our presidential election, we had almost 17,000, almost 18,000 absentee votes cast in 6 years.
Right.
So what's the population of Harrison County?
200 and last I checked, it was about 209,000.
Now,
registered active voters is about 145,000, I believe.
That's a pile.
Yeah.
You got 1,200.
Yeah, we have 2,000, a little over 2,000 absentee.
I'm talking about for the last.
Oh yeah, and the primary, a little right at 1,200.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
When we've said it on the show, a bunch of times is the local elections are more important, at least as important, if not more important, than the federal presidential election.
And I don't know how that doesn't get across to so many more people, because our president's not making decisions in South Mississippi. It's just not happening. So it's like you would think the turnout in our local elections would be more than a presidential, but that's just not the way.
And then I guess everybody's not flying a Justin Wetzel flag. They're flying a Trump or
right. But I mean, you see it with the school board stuff, with the critical race theory stuff, that the FBI is looking at parents and targeting them now, and it's like that is the most local election you can have is your school board, and look what happened there. You know, it ain't. They have the right to decide, what is and what ain't. So I don't know.
It's weird, man. So you got to get out and vote. You got to get out and do it. What's the last minute pitch? Because I mean, you got a couple of days. Are you doing a last minute push?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been the last several weeks. I'm knocking doors, trying to put the name to the face, tell them, get my experience, because like I said, 2024 is a big year for us. I don't know who ever thought to schedule a circuit clerk's position the year before a presidential election. Because, like I said, we had 17,000 absentee ballots cast, and we start absentee voting for our presidential next year, 3 weeks into office. 3 weeks into January, we start absentee voting.
You got to be able to handle that.
Yeah, so you're going to put your feet to the fire as soon as you walk in.
Yeah, you better know what you're doing.
Right.
That's where my experience means that much more.
Right.
That, if somebody comes in that door with not the first lick of knowledge of the office, good luck. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Like you said, it'll get thrown back onto the people in the office, and it'll be like, call me if you need me. And that ain't what we need.
We don't need rolling downhill. We need somebody at the top to take care of it.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, it all goes back to we've got to have somebody in there with experience. There's a reason why, and I tell people everywhere I go, Gail Parker worked for the county and worked for the circuit clerk's office for I don't know how many years before she was elected, because she had that knowledge and that experience. Connie Ladner, 32 years in the office before she was elected and served 8 years. There's a reason why those individuals were elected. Webley, prior to them, had the experience. You've got to have experience in this office to run that office from day one.
Absolutely.
There's no time for training, no time to learn all of the different responsibilities of the clerk. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you got to move up. You got to move up. You can't just move in. You got to move up.
Yeah, move up. Don't move in. I like that. That should have been on the sign.
Your campaign. Hey, I'll sell that to you next time.
Yeah, move up. Don't move in. Yeah.
Remind me in 4 years.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you got a passion for it too, and that means a lot. Not only are you experienced, but you want to be there and you want to continue to be there too.
And part of that is because the people I work with, I've worked with them so long.
Like family.
A lot of the girls, and as weird as it is, I'm the only male in the office, so it's a bunch of women.
Oh, God help you!
Yes,
I work in healthcare, so I can kind of relate.
But I mean, I do. Most of the girls in there are great, and I get along with all of them. They work hard, and they know their job, and most of them, for the most part, show up every single day, and love what they do. So
your job's easy when that happens.
Yeah, when everybody's there chipping in, doing their part, it makes the office run smoothly.
Yeah. Well, if they got somebody at the top that knows it and then can just 2x, 3x, 4x that,
Yeah.
then y'all will have a great situation. So I just dropped the link to your Facebook page,
Awesome.
your election Facebook page, in the comments on Facebook. On the Facebook feed and the YouTube feed. So people, if you're listening, watching on the replay, whatever, all you gotta do is click on that. You can go see your election page. I'm sure all your contact info is there.
Absolutely.
On that page. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, wants to ask you a question.
Still throwing signs out, right?
Oh yeah. When I keep them in the truck when I'm walking.
What's election day look like?
For you, like what's
what are we doing? What is the plan?
Well, it starts election eve. I've got to get out. I've got 51. I don't know how many precincts are in Jackson County, but we have 51 boxes in Harrison County to cover. I got to get across 51 different areas. Not me solely. I've got a small team that I'm going to break up and get yard signs and stuff out at all those precincts. Get tents set up. Get your spots saved, because you try to set that up at 6 a.m., you're behind the 8 ball from the first thing that morning. So it's going to be probably starting at 6 p.m., 5 p.m. The night before, and I probably won't sleep all the way through the night and into the next day. So
are y'all going to do like a little...
I thought about having a
little election party and stuff like that.
Man, after that long day,
you probably going to sleep.
My aunt has offered to host a watch party at her house, and I'm going to have, all of my poll watchers come back there, celebrate, have some pizza or something. Right. And I don't. Last thing I want to do is go home, have to get all dressed up, because WLX will probably be there, or one of the news agencies will be there. I don't
ain't got time for that. We got to go to work the next morning.
Well, that too. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we're going to work the next morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's going to be a long day, holding signs and trying to get that vote. I hope people show up, man. I looked at the weather earlier. It looks like we're going to have good weather on Tuesday, because believe it or not, weather plays
that'll
such
a lot
large
of. Yeah, if it's pouring down rain, ain't nobody voting.
Most of our boxes in Harrison County, it's you're kind of out you're exposed to the conditions.
Yeah, there's no covered structures,
so
anything like that.
We need good, clear, even if it's cold, I don't care. We can bundle up and get people out to the polls to vote.
People used to load up in horse-drawn carriages and go 2 to 3 days on a journey to go vote. Back in the day. Yeah. I mean, way back in the day.
That wouldn't happen today.
I mean, that's what I say. It's like
some people won't drive half a mile to go vote.
Yeah, it's like, I don't give a shit what the weather is. Get out and vote. You know what I mean?
So if they can't,
an umbrella.
If they can't vote, can they still get in touch with you? Can they still get absentee votes?
Yeah, we're still absentee voting. Like I said, we have what's today? Wednesday. We have Thursday and Friday, and then our office is open. Our Biloxi and Gulfport offices are open 8 to 12 Saturday. And again, as long as you're in line in the office by 12 p.m., you will be able to cast your absentee ballot in our office.
There it is.
Good deal, man. Look, we appreciate you stopping in here.
Yeah, and wish you best of luck.
We've learned a lot on this end of the table, this side of the table.
I had absolutely no idea what a circuit clerk did.
Yeah, there's more in the county and circuit court departments, but that's your traditional court departments.
Well, maybe you can come back on once you get elected, and we'll talk about that.
I'd love to.
And I also meant too, we've learned a lot about just the campaign trail and talking to people like you that are running for office. You take it for granted. I do. Joe did.
You just put a bunch of signs up and everybody's going to vote.
No, the signs just magically show up. They grow out of the ground. You sign a piece of paper.
They're free.
You show up and then we vote for you, and then it's like you win and it's great. No,
so much more.
Yeah, that is not how it is. It's a fight. It's in the trenches, and these people are fighting to represent your community. Even though Joey and I live in Jackson County, still it's my community.
Yeah, that's right.
So hopefully you get some sleep.
Sometimes I don't see much sleep in the next week.
Yeah, you're just volunteering for less sleep now.
That's right.
Hey, we're at war, baby.
That's right.
No time to sleep.
Right. We got no time.
Yeah. Again, thanks for coming in. Best of luck to you, and thanks everybody for watching on the live, the replays. Check out the Brownwater Banter app if you don't have it. Download it on your phone. Turn those notifications on. If you really want to be a super fan, man, give us a review on any of the podcast platforms.
And come see us this weekend at the Peter Anderson Festival.
Oh, that's right. We'll be down there.
Hanging out. Justin will probably be down there too.
I'm gonna have to make my way down there at some point.
Yeah, we'll be down at Peter Anderson Festival.
Come by us,
hang out with us.
You don't have to buy nothing. Just come.
Just come hang out with us. We'll be down there drinking, eating, fighting, whatever we're gonna do.
Doing push-ups.
Yeah, we'll do push-ups.
We'll do all of it.
Yeah,
that's always a good event.
That's it. We'll see y'all on the next one, man.
Later.